Just a quick thing. I was sent this shirt by Colin Gross of Army West Point after they won the CRA D1A National Championship. He'd asked me if I'd wear it on the air. Sir, I am absolutely humbled and flattered to wear this shirt. Thank you. Next on Rugby Wrap-Up's MLR Weekly, San Diego head coach Danny Lee, Houston's Danny the Beast Barrett, plus analysis, highlights, and previews with Old Glory's hooker Rob Irimescu, Bryan Ray, and Matt McCarthy.
He's done it. Houston is headed to the postseason.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to this week's MLR Weekly as presented by Rugby Wrap-Up. Matt McCarthy in New York City. Thank you for joining us. We have a huge show, including Houston SaberCats star Danny Barrett, yes, that Danny Barrett of USA 7's fame, and head coach Danny Lee of San Diego, along with Rob Irimescu of Old Glory DC and Bryan Ray of America's Rugby News. But before we bring any of those guests in, let's do a quick recap. In Seattle, a Friday night lights match saw the Seattle Seawolves and the SaberCats lock horns or fins or tails or teeth or something in an epic Western Conference battle. Those crazy Starfire fans were entertained as their team bolted to a big lead. That lead evaporated, however, in a wild second half as the Cats roared back. Top Gun fans got to see Robbie Povey do his best Iceman imitation, hitting the second biggest kick in MLR history at death and sending his SaberCats to their first playoff berth ever, 43-36. In Atlanta, Toronto seemed to be excising the ghosts of their Atlanta past, swooshing to an early big lead. Whatever Atlanta coach Steve Brett said in the halftime locker room got the Rattlers going, though, and they won comfortably after a rocky start and kept their hopes for second place in the East alive, 34-23. Host Utah continued to scare teams, and this time it was the Los Angeles Guiltinis going into the mountains. The Warriors rampaged back from an early deficit, but LA held on and held first place in the Western Conference in the process. Utah also saw their scrum half get a red card after the final whistle, which was a little kooky. Final score, Los Angeles 39, Utah 32. In Austin, the Gilgronis did not show San Diego any Southern hospitality whatsoever. This one was not close as Austin coasts to a big victory in what could be the last match for some of San Diego's big stars. Final score, 44-28. In the District of Columbia, more Major League Rugby scoring records fell as Old Glory DC and Rugby New York seemed to be playing touch rugby at times. Indeed, 9 tries scored by the visitors and 7 by the host team allotted for the most points scored in Major League Rugby history, breaking the record that was set last week on the same field. Final score, 59-49. New York stays in contention for second place in the East. In the final match of the weekend up in New England, the Free Jacks absolutely annihilated the NOLA Gold. With that, they secured home field advantage in the playoffs. What a wicked smack patty it was up in Quincy, Massachusetts. Final score, 57-5. Whew, okay, we're tired, but we're going to keep going. We're not going to take a break yet. We're going to bring in Mr. Danny Barrett, the beast of the Houston SaberCats, the playoff-bound Houston SaberCats. Does Povey have actual ice in his veins, or what's the story there? Because that was an unbelievable kick at death to put you guys in, with the Seattle crowd being the Seattle crowd.
I mean, he's English-Canadian, right? So he doesn't come from very warm weather. So he's definitely used to it. He's got a little bit of ice in there. He's no, I mean, that kid works so hard. They gave Robbie the shot, and he took it.
So what did Coach say at halftime to get you? Because it was a tale of two halves. I mean, you guys came roaring back, and if it was another 2 minutes long, you would have won the match.
We knew it wasn't good enough. A few of the leaders on the team had some choice words for the group, and kind of let that be known. But it was just, we have to get back to our process. Doesn't matter if we're up 29-7 or down 29-7, we stick to our process, and that's what's going to get us back into it. And it was that first kickoff, the second half. That's what set the tone. We scored with 52 seconds into the second half, and then it kind of roll. And then, all the credit goes to the guys that came off the bench.
This team has had a significant turnaround. Now you're playoff bound. What kind of impact for you after coming off a stellar sevens career, playing 15s now, has it been with Heineke Meyer and Coach Pote?
What they've tried to build is less so the game plan, tactical side of things, and more the culture. What can we do to become one group, getting them to enjoy being around each other? And I think that's the biggest thing that they've tried to build in family, and enjoying going to work every day. And that makes you want to play harder. That makes you, you not want to let your family down. So to go that extra mile, hit that extra ruck, chase back that extra 30 meters, whatever it is, make that extra kick in stoppage time with 10,000 people screaming at you. It's the little things that have really built, who the SaberCats are now.
So what was it that got you over the edge to go there?
For me, it was the opportunity to be with my family. And, we don't have, my wife and I aren't from Texas. We're not from the Mid-South. We're not from, we're 2,000-3,000 miles from here. But the way Heineke and Coach Pote talked about what they were trying to build and the support systems that they were trying to build within the team, my daughter was born the 24th of January. I joined the team on the 4th to play a game on the 5th.
Wow.
And, they allowed me to do that. They let me stay back and be with my family, because they knew that's the most important thing to me. And I think, Houston as a whole, I've always loved the challenge of, being the bottom of the table. When I joined the sevens program, we were 2 or 3 games away from relegation. And then to come back and, one of my last years be arguably the best team on the circuit. We just missed out on being number one, winning the series. That's what I like. I like when people don't care about us, when people look at us and, we're down and out and we come roaring back when we have no right being there.
Will you return to the USA Sevens program?
Never ever say never ever. If there's a need and I can fill that need, then, I'm all ears. I have a pretty soft spot for that team and that side of the game, that code. So, hey, if they want me and I'm available and healthy and my wife and daughter are cool with it, then never ever say never ever.
I had the privilege of being with you on the World Cup tour in 2015, and you came in from sevens camp and you're playing in the back row. What's the body weight now? You've had time to adjust to maybe beef up or how are you playing it? You playing it lighter? You playing it a little bigger?
Weight to me is just a number.
Right.
It's much more about how I feel and how I'm moving. If I'm moving well and I'm at 250, whatever.
And final question for you. You and Ben Landry were having a little couple of words there. What was being said?
Just, asking how he was doing. I hadn't seen him in a while. I don't remember if he was down here when we played them. So
you didn't want to be rude.
Yeah. Ben and I went to New Zealand together, college All-Americans. So, I've known Ben for a while and just kind of, asking how everything's going and how Wisconsin's
slapping
doing.
at the hand a little bit.
Yeah. Just pawing,
Oh, well, you are a Cal Bear, so you can paw away. Go ahead.
Exactly.
All right. Best of luck to you, and my best to the wife and daughter. It's always great talking to you, Dad.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Matt.
That was Danny Barrett of the Houston SaberCats, the playoff-bound SaberCats. We'll be right back.
Rugby Now, delivering premier brands to players and coaches. Our quality and heritage make for a winning presentation. Your orders are guaranteed same-day shipping. Drop by our online store and follow us for exclusive content. RugbyNow.com.
Selling or trading in your vehicle? Sheehy makes it easy. With Easy Trade, start online or visit us in store. We want your vehicle, and we'll give you up to 125% of KBB value.
It's easy at Sheehy. Sheehy.com.
Head coach Danny Lee of the San Diego Legion. And coach, first off, I'm gutted for you guys. A Seattle yellow card. And then Robbie Povey doing his best Joe Peterson to make a pressure kick at death with playoff implications on the line. It had to tear you apart watching that.
Yeah, it was pretty tough to watch, actually. A lot of the boys were sitting around Friday night, all the coaching staff sitting there watching that game, obviously knowing what we needed, knowing what Houston needed at that stage. And the majority of the game, 95% of the game, we were sitting quite comfortable knowing, Seattle were doing a job on them, keeping them out of reach of a bonus point with tries, but also another bonus point within 7. Well done to Houston to claw their way back in the game and get what they needed out of it.
We're in the weird situation of your season being over, but the league season ending next week. How do you feel about the fact that you had a bye on the final week of the season?
Yeah, it's a little unusual. I'm not really sure why they would do it. It works out that way, but surely, during the second half of the season, they could have mixed the bye in a little better. It's just weird, when you finish on a bye and everyone else is still playing, and it hurts even more when you're out of the playoffs and the season's over. Possibly could be done slightly different going forward, but it is what it is.
This kind of potentially robs us fans the ability and the players themselves to kind of have some kind of goodbye if guys like Joe Peterson or Matananu or Chris Robshaw don't come back to the league next year or come back to San Diego next year. And we're not saying any decisions have been made, but to have that final game, you don't have it.
Yeah, it is. It's a bit sad in the way that it's gone down. But yeah, we're unsure around those guys on what's happening for them going forward. It is a pretty soft way to finish, and if you look at it the way you're looking at it, it is disappointing.
Following that up, would you say that you got what you expected, or you got more or less out of those big matches?
I think they're all different guys. They all offer a slightly different perspective on the game. Some talk more than others. Some use actions. Not only training but within games. But yeah, they're all quality human beings. They've added a huge amount to Legion. Joe's been there since day one. Mar's been there, come back now for a second stint with Legion. And I know Robbo's just loving life in San Diego and loving being a part of the Legion and what we're trying to do. So all great guys have all added huge amounts to what we do, but all in different areas.
What were you most pleased about on the season?
The big thing was maybe the growth of the group, the buy-in that they have with each other and the understanding of how we want to play. Obviously a new head coach and a new attack coach with myself, a new defense coach, new foreign players coming in. So, the whole dynamics of the squad is pretty complicated day one. So the more time they got together, the better they become. They bonded well. I'm just pleased with the whole growth of the organisation, and I'm pretty excited about where we're going to in the future. By the time we get through, the end of year, then we've got to look at our recruitment. We've got to look at our retention, who we're keeping, trying to build this whole machine better. Bigger and better going forward. So the off season will be based around that, as well as trying to align our academy and our junior program so that there's a definite pathway through the Legion. Again, more learning and understanding from myself around what happens in that space leading into the Legion group.
Well, Coach, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you this season. I appreciate you taking the time out once again. Wish you nothing but the best going forward, and make sure you have plenty of sunblock.
Yeah, thanks very much. Always fun having a chat.
That was head coach Danny Lee of the San Diego Legion. I almost said Padres. We'll be right back.
Been blind since I was 4, and I've never seen a beer commercial or a beer label. None of that stuff influences me. I drink beer because of the taste, and my beer is Pabst Blue Ribbon. It has the taste and the flavor.
What do you think's on the label?
I think there's a naked woman riding on a unicorn, jumping over fire. Oh, that's good beer.
If you're in New York City and want to watch some great rugby, have some great food, and some great times, go to the world's best rugby pub, the Pig and Whistle on West 36th Street. And we are back with Rob Irimescu of the Old Glory DC franchise and Bryan Ray of the America's Rugby News franchise. Rob, have you caught your breath from that wrestling meets track meet that you had on Sunday versus New York, where a record amount of points were scored? We've got two records back to back here. New England Free Jacks with the most wins, and then the most points scored, breaking the record of the previous week with the most points scored in Major League Rugby history. A 59-40-49 defensive battle between New York and you guys.
Yeah, I don't know if I've exactly caught my breath just yet. I guess it kind of stinks to be on the wrong side of history 2 weeks in a row, but there were two great games, so happy to be a part of it, I guess.
Brief history on you. You're a Xavier High School guy and a Penn State rugby guy. So you're a pathway, American pathway guy.
Big America guy, yeah. Big America guy, big New York guy, big Penn State guy.
And you played with New York last season before switching to the DC franchise. So was it because you were tired of playing on Randall's Island in Jersey City? Is that why, Rob? Little sissy, you wanted the turf? You wanted the field turf?
Taking the crazy bus gets old, definitely. I was excited for a great opportunity here in DC, so I had to take it while I was available.
All right. Well, while you're here, we got Brian. We got some games to look at. We have 3 Friday night matches, gentlemen. 3. The first one is in New England, and it's New York versus New England. Doesn't mean a hill of beans to the Free Jacks, but New York needs this one to stay in contention with Atlanta.
This is a really weird one to figure out what New England is going to do in this one. I mean, they've locked it up. They got first place. They got home. They got everything. They don't have to play their big name guys and risk them. But the same token, they're going to have a bye week anyways before they play in that Eastern Conference final. So you have to suspect that they're probably going to want to play these guys and just keep them sharp because they're going to have the week off, but also to kind of set a message against New York because they might end up facing them in that Eastern Conference final. So I'm going to guess that they'll play pretty much close to a full strength side. And I tell you what, I thought New York's defense looked pretty shambolic on the weekend against the team that Mr. Irimescu was playing for. So I'm tempted to pick the Free Jacks in this one.
Yeah, I'm taking New York in this one. I think if you're going into a bye as New England, I think you're going to rest your players. This game means absolutely nothing to them. Imagine if Waka goes down in a game that was meaningless or something like that. So I think they're going to rest their players or at least have them come off the bench. I think New York's kind of been grooving lately, so I think New York takes this one.
I think New York takes this one to just salvage a win in the 3-game series because it was that odd 3 games against. So, but that might be something that those quirky New Englanders want to do. They want to sweep New York, but I doubt it. I don't think so. The next one up is Rugby ATL, another Friday night game we mentioned. So at least we'll have some scoreboard watching going on. And that one is against NOLA.
There really wasn't much going on in that one. I mean, to their credit, they came back and scored a try at the end, so they weren't completely shut out. But they didn't look like anything that's going to trouble Rugby ATL at home, especially when there's so much on the line. So you have to pick ATL to get a bonus point and win in this one. And then you're looking at the score of the New England-New York game to see what happens there, because those are the 2 important ones. But I'm going to take the Rattlers in convincing fashion in this one.
Yeah, I think NOLA's an interesting team because every time I play against them, they play really, really well, actually. But I think
probably because they're coming off a humiliating loss the week before.
That would make sense. But ATL is definitely going to take this one, especially after seeing how NOLA performed last week.
Yeah, I think this one's a no-brainer. I think Atlanta, they want that home field advantage. Definitely. I think Atlanta wins that one. And our final Friday night light match is a Texas Derby between the Houston SaberCats, who have clinched their first playoff berth ever, and the Austin Gilgronis, who need this. They need this in the terms of points versus LA for home field advantage, first or second place.
If I'm Houston, I don't think I'm going to be resting too many guys. I mean, you're not going to show them everything in this game, but I think you still got to, be competitive in this one and make Austin earn their points. And the Texas Cup is on the line, so there's some bragging rights in that. So, if Houston can come into this game and get a win last game of the regular season, then all of a sudden Austin's going to have a lot of doubt heading into that playoff game. So this is a fascinating game. I don't really know what to think of. I'm going to pick Austin in this one, but I think it's going to be a close one.
Generally in this league, like, backs don't get rested as much as forwards do. And I think Austin's strength is in their back line, which is absolutely explosive. So I think Austin takes this one.
And then we've got Saturday, and Saturday's a rugby day, and the Dallas Jackals are hosting the Utah Warriors.
Yeah, look, Utah are obviously favorites in this one. I hope Dallas gives us something, though, get us out. It's their last home game of the season, last game of the season, last chance. So I hope they put on a show at least, and it's an entertaining spectacle. I think it will be. But you got to pick Utah on the road in this one.
I think Dallas definitely has a chance. I think that does make sense. And they could potentially win, but it's so important for team morale, team culture, and all that for the final game of the year to end it on a win, to end it right with your brothers, like that group that's never going to be together again. I think Utah shows up big, and I think they beat Dallas big, to be honest.
I got Utah by 38 points. The next one up, Tirana hosting Old Glory DC. Brian, let me guess what your answer is going to be in this one.
Well, I got to ask Rob, are you guys, just fast forwarding through defense training? Are you just offense all the time? Because that's kind of what it looks like after the last couple games.
Nah, a lot of effort is going in there. We work super hard, but there's obviously, it's tough to stop the Houston rolling maul. As you could see, Dean Meyer getting 4 tries off of it. The other
Dean Muir, say his name. 4 tries. His name.
4 tries, and then the other hooker getting 1. So that's tough. And then Ed Fido is also a tough guy to stop. So can ensure you working really hard on defense. We're going to show up this week for sure.
Rob, I got Old Glory playing tough because Toronto can't play a second half of rugby. They can't play a second half of rugby when you expect it. So I'm going with Old Glory to make this tight in a squeaky bum Toronto victory. And it's got nothing to do with my very happy tidings with Sheehy Auto Stores, who are affiliated with Old Glory, because I have a Sheehy.
It's easy with Sheehy.
It's easy at Sheehy.com.
Thank you, Rob. It is. And again, we got LA hosting Seattle. Now, this is another one. LA has to win this one. Seattle, they gave their fans that big send-off with that excellent, exciting victory against the SaberCats.
LA at home to end the regular season. There was so much on the line for them. I think they want to make a statement and get that top spot in the Western Conference. So I expect they're going to take a bonus point win here. I just think Seattle's just going to be, they talked about after the game, AJL, a team who's saying, hey, we're going to front up again. I just think they're just going to be a little bit deflated after that loss, and it's not going to be enough to take out the Guiltinis on their home turf.
Seawolves not making it through to the playoffs, and the first round bye and home field, that's just so huge for LA. I think they're going to show up big here. I think they're going to beat the Seawolves for sure.
I think Seattle plays them tough, scares the pants off them, but I think there's going to be a lot of points. I think LA wins it in the end. Guys, we are out of time. Quickly, final thoughts, Brian.
Yeah, kind of piggybacking on what you said to Danny Lee earlier, it's a shame we don't quite get a send-off for San Diego this week. They got the bye week, so Ma'ananu, Chris Robshaw, Joe Peterson, these guys, we don't know if they're coming back next year or not. And if they're not, well, it's been terrific to see them in MLR, and, really looking forward to seeing San Diego at Snapdragon Stadium, the rebirth of the franchise maybe next year. So, there you go. Enjoy this one, San Diego fans. This weekend you can sit back with no pressure or whatever, but it would have been nice to see them play.
I think Brian's spot on. That does stink for San Diego, and having a bye week on the final week. I don't understand that. Not a lot of upsets, I think, happening this week, except for one. You should tune into that OG versus Toronto game. It should be a good one. So everyone.
That's the Caps versus the Maple Leafs, ladies and gentlemen, and they'll do the reviews in Tirana. With that, I want to thank Mr. Bryan Ray of America's Rugby News, Mr. Rob Irimescu, the Romanian Rambo and pride of Xavier High School and Penn State, and Coach Danny Lee of San Diego, Danny Barrett of the Houston SaberCats, and thank you for tuning in. Please check out our other shows, including the Rugby Odds and our college rugby wrap-up. Please hit that subscribe button on YouTube, sign up for our weekly newsletter, and please, please, please sign up for our American Red Cross blood donor team.
Can you imagine San Diego watching this right now? He's done it. Houston is headed to the postseason.